A year ago, I sat in this chair and I poured my little heart out. And I lost a lot of hope that day. But I didn't lose all my hope. I didn't lose all my faith. At the end of that video, I said, but I know that one day I will be okay. I know that the pain is only temporary. A year later, I can sit here and testify how right I was. The pain was only temporary. But beyond that, there's just so much more to the story and what happened, what happened in that year that has led me to be able to sit here now and tell you that I was right. The video that I posted a year ago essentially was me crying over someone that I had lost. And I say lost in the sense of they were choosing not to be in my life as I was, I guess, choosing not to be in theirs. Not that I had much of a choice. And I had never experienced a pain like that before, because I've had in the past times and moments in life where I've lost friendships and it hurts, but this one in particular broke me. And that's because it was more than a friendship. There was just too much at stake. There was feelings and there was emotions and there was just this rawness of like, it was two human beings who acknowledged who each person was completely. There was no lie, there was no wall, there was no filter. It was a true, friendship with no lies. And so it did break me in that season, and it left me at such a low point. And now I can recognize that it left me at that point not just because there was a friendship, because there was just so much more to it that I didn't understand in that season. But I can tell you this. I lived a life before them, during, and after, right? Before them, pretty whatever. During, it was just like, during that friendship, it was just such a fluctuation of like, this is the best thing in my life. And also having moments of, this is going to break me, and I know it will. And how crazy, right? How insane to be able to be living a life and feeling those feelings of such highs and lows. And I remember when I first started hanging around this person, I prayed to God, and I said, Lord, if this person is not good for me, then please remove them, because my sister is even a testament to that. There's so many girls that I know within the community that have prayed that prayer, and it's the quickest prayer that's ever been answered to them. And yet that person wasn't removed from my life in that instant when I prayed that prayer. But that's the thing, is that you can pray all you want and you can say all these things, but if your mind's already made up, then why are you even praying? I went on to build this friendship, relationship, whatever, with this person for some time, and finally one day it all just crumbled, and it left me there at that video. At that point, it had been about a month, a little over a month, since I had stopped talking to that person. And the first couple of weeks, I really just was like pretending I was fine. It was just more of this like anger, and I was like, whatever. But finally I hit that point where it was not whatever, and it was just tears and pain, and I can't believe I'm going through this, and I don't know how to fix this. And during that whole season, not only had I already made a poor decision by, I don't think it's a poor decision to be friends with someone, but it's a poor decision when you let their influence take over your life and you know it's not a good influence. And that's why, now that I'm older, I realize how correct my parents always were since I was a kid. My mom used to always tell me, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I know it's corny, cheesy, whatever you want to say, but it's so true. That person did not have the best intentions. They did not have a great attitude, and they were quite evil in some ways. And I saw that and I said, that's okay. But what was not okay was that then I let their actions influence how I was acting. That was not okay. I was not the salt. I was not the light in that relationship. I let myself be consumed and I lost myself. And what happened after, I didn't know what to do. So not only had I already lost this person, made bad decisions during that friendship, but now I had to live through this after season where I still wasn't making good decisions, but for myself, because I was just in so much pain that I just wanted anything from the world to fix that. During that season, I don't think there was one time I picked up my Bible or actually sought real help. I'm sure I prayed. I remember praying a couple of times. But it wasn't prayers of, Lord, help me. It was, Lord, I'm so angry and I can't believe you let me go through this. You were supposed to take care of me. You were supposed to protect me. But that's the thing, is that now I'm in such a different space that I see things so differently now. And the Lord allowed me to go through that season. Why? Because the Lord allows us to have free will. And a lot of the times, we are here on earth and we question, God, why do you let me suffer? Why am I suffering? You know, girl, you're the one who brought the suffering to yourself. You're the one who's being disobedient. You know what's right and wrong, and still you're choosing to do the wrong thing. That is why you're suffering. The Lord did not place this suffering onto your life and said, I want you to suffer. I want you to feel this pain. No. But you know what the Lord did do for me during that season? When I was crying every night, when I was losing it, when I was cutting my hair off and just like beyond anyone's reach, the Lord sat with me in my pain, and the Lord only let me go so far, because it hit a point where I just hit rock bottom, and I had to realize who was the rock at the bottom. And it took a lot of time, but shortly after I filmed and uploaded that video, the school year ended, and I returned home, and I was very broken. I was in a very broken place in that time period between May and then going into June. Even like another situation happened, and I just felt like I was at such a low. Like I had given life my best, and yet somehow I was at such a low. But then I realize now the Lord put specific people in that season who sat there and didn't judge me, didn't, get angry with me at my decisions, but they just loved on me, and they kept telling me, about God, even if it was unintentional, that they didn't know what I was going through. And it was just such specific people that the Lord was placing in my life, that when I went back home in June, I felt this deep desire in my heart that I needed to find my own church, because previously I had been attending my parents' church, and then I was attending my sister's church for a while every time I went back home. And the Lord placed this desire in my heart of like, I need to find my church, not just a church that I go to because my family goes to. And it was a struggle, that in itself. I was like, really, Lord, I'm trying here. I just came out of such a horrible season. I'm trying to do better. And I think I went to like 3 to 4 different churches, and I just was not, I didn't feel like that was like my church or where I could find community. And finally, my mom, I think at this point it was like late June, early July, and she said to me, look, if you don't find a church within like the next week or two, I'm stopping this. Like, I'm putting un alto. You are going to stop jumping around all these churches. Just spend the summer going to your sister's or mine, because this going to all these different churches is not healthy for you either. And I remember getting very upset, but I was like, dang, Lord, you hurt my mom. Like, this is serious. And the Lord, and that's something in itself that I'm learning now. And He's just over and over and over again done it to me. And I'm like, why do I have to keep going through this lesson? Everything that I've said no to in this life that I would never do, or like that's weird, blah blah blah, or I don't agree with that, the Lord is like, girl, you need to be quiet. For the longest time, I said I would never go to an English church because I did not have great experiences in my past with them. But this one particular Sunday, I don't even remember how I found this church, probably through Instagram, or online, I don't know. Wait, I don't even think I had Instagram, so I really don't know how I found the church. But I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to this English church. And it was the only English church I had visited. And I remember going that Sunday, and I was like, okay, like, that wasn't too bad. And they had a young adults group during the week. And that's what really caught my attention. Because I knew what season I had just come out of. I knew where I was at spiritually. My foundation with the Lord was not great. I needed help. I couldn't build Pompeii or I think it's Rome, but I couldn't build in a day, and I really needed help. So that same week, I went to the young adults group, and the Lord He did everything He needed to do. And I was like, this is it. This is where I'm going to stay. So from July, mid-July to September, about a month and a half, against everything that our human nature says about healing, the Lord healed me in that month and a half. That is not an earthly timeline. You don't hear of someone healing in a month and a half, you know? But in that month and a half, the Lord showed me, I love you. I love you, and I loved you during that season. And I wasn't far. You were far. You chose to step away from me. You chose to make decisions. But guess what? I still love you. I still love you regardless. And there was so much that could have happened, but I didn't, because I was always protecting you, and there was always a limit that I had because I loved you so much. I didn't want to see you fall even further. And that is what the Lord revealed to me during that season of healing. During that season, He also allowed love to grow back in my heart again. And that person that I was so broken over now became the person that I was like, that hurts so bad that I pray for you. And every time I've thought about that person in the last year, I've prayed for them, because there is nothing else I can do. I have no desire to cuss them out. I have no desire to confront them, to be angry, to crash out on them. I have no desire of doing any of that, because I see how vital they played a role in me coming back to the foot of the cross. And I know that's maybe not easy for everyone, because I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. My friends are still mad. My friends that are not, saved and believers, they're still angry every time, like, that person comes up or whatever. They're like, yeah, I hate them, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't. And I'm not telling you this to be like, I'm better, I'm such a good person. No, I'm not a good person, because everything in my flesh, my nature, the culture I came up from tells me to hate that person and to wish them the most horrible and evil desires. And once upon a time, I did wish those things. Not on just that person, but on different situations in my life. But I am at such a place that the Lord was able to just cultivate such a love and such a forgiveness that I now am like, I wish the best for that person, truly and wholeheartedly, and I'm not even lying to you. I pray that one day they could feel the love that I have felt from the Lord. And I pray that one day, even if it didn't work out between us, that the Lord could send them a person that could be with them and create a partnership that glorifies the Lord. And I do pray for those things for that person. Because how am I going to heal and get better when I'm still angry and I'm still resenting? The Lord doesn't resent me when I made a mistake. The Lord didn't cut me off when I was making bad choices. So I'm not going to treat you like that, because the Lord doesn't treat me like that when I mess up. Sorry. This topic really fires me now, because I know what it's like to live on the opposite side of this spectrum. I know what it's like to live angry and in resentment, and I thank God every single day that I don't live that way anymore, that He saved me, that He showed me there's so much more to this life than keeping grudges. And I know that not everyone will understand the way I choose to live my life or the way I do things, or they're going to say, oh, now you're holy. Think what you want. If you want to live your life a different way, then go ahead. My agenda is never going to be to shove the way I live my life down your throat and force you to do anything. But I'm sitting here and I'm recording this a year later because I want if there's someone out there that even goes through something of a similar situation, I want them to know that there's hope and that they don't have to live that way, For so long, I let the enemy make me believe that the Lord had left me, the Lord didn't love me, that I was going through these things and the Lord didn't care for me, but He did. And I realize now I had a big part in my suffering. And that has been my prayer, or my gratitude for the last year. When I pray, when I'm worshiping, for the last year I have said, Lord, thank you for saving me from myself. Because now we're going to shift gears. The Lord healed me from that. He brought me, a community of people that just really helped me during that season. But a year later, I also see how, the Lord has just revealed so much to me of, how I myself am I can be destruction for my own being. How I make decisions that when they're not aligned with God, they really hurt me. And even within that, that's part of my testimony now, even if it's a year later, and I want to share it. I come from the people I grew up with, the women that I grew up with and that I had set as examples. Unfortunately, I didn't realize it until this year, but they have all lived their lives with the man that they're dating or married to or infatuated over. They live their lives with that man at the center of their lives. And as sad as that makes me, it makes me sadder to realize that I had been living my life like that since I was in high school. Because I thought, subconsciously, without even realizing it, my worth came from the man that I was talking to or whatever in that season. If I wasn't talking to a man, first of all, I was already a loser. I was unworthy. And second off, all my worth came from that man. So if that man, which this is a whole other thing in itself, but because I had such a low self-esteem of what my worth was and where my worth came from, I then was only attracted to and wanting to be in a relationship with men that I viewed as broken. And I want to make there a clear, explanation that we're all broken people, but the difference is you can be broken and still choose to get up and heal and be a better person. But the thing was that I had such a low self-esteem that I was only attracted to and seeking men that were broken and had no desire of being a better person, and in fact had such evil just thoughts and actions sometimes. And I thought that was fine, because in my head all I ever desired was someone to come fix me, someone to come rescue me. For the longest time, since maybe I was like 15 till last year that I was 20, I was waiting for someone to come save me. I thought, my life is just going to get better when I start dating a man and he just saves me. Do you understand how crazy that was? I thought I was Rapunzel and I had been waiting for my Flynn Rider for years. Like, I'm saying that as a joke, but I lived that life, genuinely. So I was waiting for someone to come save me, but I tried to live this mirror reflection that then I would try to save the person that I was with because they were broken, because I desired someone to save me, and I thought it was like gonna be this I save you, you save me. No. And I know to some of you, you're probably like, that's actually insane, but it's my life and it's my story and it's my truth. And I've realized through that hardship that I went through a year ago, I realize now how much the Lord has been able to heal and reveal to me things that I never even thought about. He's allowed me to see the core issues behind the big problems that I end up facing. And I realize now I don't need my Flynn Rider. I don't need someone to save me. The Lord has already done that. The Lord has sufficed. He saved me from myself. I was the evil mom. I was the witch to myself. And the Lord saved me. And I know saying that to some might sound crazy, but I've lived a life without God and I've lived a life with Him now. And what I can tell you is that when I lived without Him, I was suffering beyond my extent, waiting for something to change. And don't get me wrong, living my life with Christ now, it's not sunshine and rainbows. I have had seasons where I've suffered in the last year. A different type of suffering, but still suffering. But the difference was that while I suffered in that season, I held on so tightly to God. I had no one else to turn to, so I turned to Him. And He was my strength. He was my endurance. He is what got me through those seasons. So yes, I truly believe that God saved me from myself, from the reckless actions that I take, from allowing people to cross boundaries and step over me because I think that's what I deserve. Don't get me wrong, it's been a year of healing and revelation and just a lot of trying to figure out, like how to live my life. I've also recently discovered the cycle of striving and how that has just taken over a hold of my life, and it leads me down, trying to be something that I can't. I'm never going to be this perfect daughter, but the Lord doesn't expect that from me. He doesn't expect me to amount to this grand big thing. All He desires is a relationship and obedience from me. So a year later, yes, I can say the pain was only temporary. It really was. And I have the biggest just smile on my face that I get to laugh about this now, and I get to be so joyful because I showed that video to a handful of my friends, and I thought it was funny. After about 3 months, maybe by August, I thought it was a funny video. And every time I showed my friends or my close family, they were distraught. And I understand because I was in shambles in that video. But that is why I'm making this video a year later. Because I'm not in shambles anymore. I'm not suffering. I'm not in that dark hole And that's because the Lord's love has just gripped my soul, and it's just so different. I've never felt this way before. I grew up in the church, but this is the first time in my life that I just even if the enemy attacks me and I fail, I'm still running back, because I don't want to live a life without God ever again. And I have learned my lesson from that season, and the Lord has just been really working in me, and that is something that I will never ever be able to thank Him enough for. But I wanted to share some notes, so give me a second, because I just want to make sure I go over everything I wanted to say. I had wrote, which I mentioned to you guys, that even in that dark season, I realize now that the Lord never left me, because so many more worse things could have happened to me, but the Lord was always protecting me. He provided healing in a way that I never imagined. I hated San Jose when I left it at 18, and I had this desire to never return. I just had so much hate in my heart for the Bay. And the Lord said, the place that you once hated is going to be the place that I used to heal your heart. And now ask me how I feel about San Jose. It is my love. It is the city I grew up in. And I have just grown to have such appreciation and such warmth for it. I learned that He sustained me even in, dark moments after that video that I've had, seasons where I've felt crushed. He has been the one to sustain me, because my flesh couldn't. And I bring up again that I said I've lived with God and I lived without Him. And even with Him, there are seasons of suffering. But the perspective that you receive after seeing God's mercy and grace over your life changes everything. The seasons that I've had now, within the last 5-6 months, 100% my perspective has changed. That is what having a relationship with God does to someone. You start to change everything about your life. And lastly, I think I've thought a lot about, would I ever choose to go through that season again? And as painful as it was, I would 100% go through that again. And I thank God that He did allow me to go through that, because not only did it bring me back to the foot of the cross when I was being the prodigal son, but He opened up so many doors and so many revelations for my life that were so deep within me that I don't think I would have hit or understood if I hadn't gone through that season. So 1 year later, I get to sit here and tell you the pain was only temporary. And I know that there will be seasons that come, and they're going to be hard. But I also know who sustains me. I know the God that I serve. And I know that endurance is not built in one day. And it's just, you just got to keep putting your trust and having faith. Even if you fail and you fall, you just keep getting up. So that is the video I wanted to make. I'm probably going to realize there's points of subject that I didn't get to talk about, but that is what this channel is for, so that I can continue sharing what I've learned in my journey with the Lord. And yeah, no teary eyes today, no raising my voice in anger, but a smile on my face, a haircut, and not a choppy one like the one I did, but a smile on my face that things did get better, and that the Lord saved me from myself.